This is part 3. Okay, last city, Genoa. How did Genoa reflect the Renaissance worldview? There's the Genoese trading empire. It's also pretty impressive. Sometimes I think it's just as impressive as the Venetians. I mean, they made it all the way over to the Holy Land. They weren't quite as close as Venice. Here's Venice. Genoa's on the other side of the peninsula. And look, they made it. They had trading outposts, right? Just like you'd think of Fort Edmonton or Rocky Mountain House, established by Hudson's Bay Company and Northwest Company you studied last year in grade 7. They had these outposts. They had this trading network. I mean, they made it like this is into Russia now. That's pretty incredible, all right? I mean, Crimea is like the Ukrainian peninsula here. So, and then they made it all the way around Spain and got to northern France, and that part there would be Belgium, even southern England. That's I believe that's going to say Southampton. Genoa was just amazing at their trading network as well. Okay, I always like to highlight the Holy Land because I like to orient your eyes. Like, where is Jerusalem? Where is the land of Jesus and the Jewish people in the Middle East over here? Because a lot of, especially when you talk about religious life, and we talk about the Crusades, a lot of the attention was focused over here on the eastern side of the Mediterranean, okay? So Genoa was located at a crossroads, okay? A crossroads they consider to be. All right, so there's your crossroads. Because look, you have access to Germany, you have access to France, you could even go through the Pyrenees Mountains here and get into Spain. Sort of a crossroads of traffic and culture between Western Europe, so this would be Western, and Eastern. This would be Western. Wow, I can even make letters. There's Eastern. Okay. Crusaders who came in, yes, Genoa was a huge port for taking soldiers on the Crusades to go over to the Holy Land. Okay. So, soldiers. And the city paid the Genoans for their services and granted them important trading privileges. So in other words, supporting the Crusaders was good for business, okay? It was good for business. Not only did it support the war effort, but the Crusaders would help the Genoans out because they helped them out by providing them ships. They founded a very powerful bank called the Banco San Giorgio, the Bank of St. George, because of the increase in trade. Again, making so much money, you have to have somewhere to put that money. Nice little lovely shot of Genoa. This is one of the central squares here. Like many Italian city-states, incredibly beautiful. Okay, Venice and Genoa fought for trading posts in the Mediterranean until the Peace of Turin in 1381. The peace allowed Genoa to focus and grow its business and trade sectors. So when they're not fighting, they're trading. When they're not fighting, they're making money. Wealthy families paid for the creation of daring architecture, and they hired master artists from Rome and Florence and Venice to beautify homes and public buildings. Really quite incredible. All these Italian city-states. If you ever get the chance to travel, just go. Just go and do it. Go to Italy. Go see these city-states. Okay, summary. How did Florence, Venice, Genoa reflect and promote the worldviews and ideas of the Renaissance? Basically, they became wealthy and they promoted the arts, architecture, libraries, ideas, knowledge. They promoted businesses. So let's have a look at this. Located on important trade routes, they had all of that in common. They were commercial centers. In other words, trade and selling, promoting businesses, booming economies. They have got so hot. In other words, they got so attractive to people. Their economies got so hot that all 3 cities had populations at one point of over 100,000. That's a lot of people for back then. They still had this hierarchy of social class systems. It just wasn't feudalism. Okay, it looked a little different. We talked a little about that when we talked about Venice. The wealthy were patrons of the art and architecture. So patron means, here's patron again. Let's just highlight that one. To be a patron means I'm a rich person and I'm going to build you something nice. Here's an example from Edmonton. The Edmonton Symphony plays in the Francis Winspear Center for the Arts. Francis Winspear was a patron. In other words, he made a lot of money and he donated a lot to have that building built. So to be a patron is to support something, okay? You had so much money you could afford to just pay someone to, make you paintings, sculpt something, or you would buy a building or make a building, construct a building. So patron is to support, okay? Patronage is supporting. All three prospered. I borrowed this, and then I modified this this PowerPoint from another teacher. I just found it on the internet, and I like this last sentence. All three prospered economically because they were situated along the coast. So I'm going to highlight the question mark and ask a question here because that's actually an error. Okay, let's see if you can spot why that's an error. They served as popular trading routes for centuries. This allowed them to become wealthy and powerful. Okay. And so to end this, I'm just giving you a heads up of what's happening in future chapters. Lots of people to study who made incredible contributions in all of these areas, okay? I'm sure some of these names are familiar. I would hope from, let's say, grade 7, you might recognize Samuel de Champlain, right? Of course, everybody and their dog knows Christopher Columbus. A lot of people know Leonardo, Michelangelo, Raphael, of course, our turtles, right? Galileo, big time. Hey, here's a guy down here. His name is Shakespeare. Machiavelli, there's the Medici family's politics. And Martin Luther. So anyways, lots of names, lots of people to study. We'll barely have time to cover the really ultra famous ones like Martin Luther, Galileo, Leonardo, Michelangelo. Okay, that's the end of part 3, grade 8s. And from this point, that's basically the end of chapter 1. Chapter 2 really does a deeper dive into Renaissance and the explosion of knowledge. Okay, talk to you later, guys. See ya.